Hello again, and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. But is it even a Mordian Glory video? For I am joined by the man, the myth, the Ed. Ed! How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well, thank you. I've been doing some old world stuff, and I've been doing a little bit of old world stuff, and a little bit more old world stuff, which I think is what we're here to talk about today. Because you have been doing or playing around with one of the new factions, new detachments, right?
Renegade Crowns, my beloved. Empire is so dead to me. So to give Ed a bit of an intro, we've actually collabed before, and you have got your own channel. Give yourself a shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to find more tactical or competitive focused old world content, you can find me at Close Order. I stream twice a week on a Tuesday and Friday evening at 8 p.m. Fix My List is the thing that I do on Fridays, which is when we're recording, but probably not when you'll see this. And if you have lists, but you think the list is terrible, come on down, submit them on my Discord, and I can make them less bad.
There you go. And we'll make sure there's a link to your channel as well. And so basically, you know, I cover old world, but it's in a very ad hoc fashion. Like, it's just when I'm thinking about old world, I'll do a video on it, and it's mostly like vibes based stuff, whereas you know, which is great, but obviously there's gonna be some people that are like, okay, you know, I want to actually get into old world and know what the hell I'm doing. Ed is definitely a channel that you want to go and check out if that's your vibe. So with that said, we've got a couple of things we want to talk about, Dale. We'll talk a little bit about like match play, Cathay, how old world's changed, and Renegade Crowns, of course, and all that good stuff. And so I guess I'd start off with saying, like, last time we spoke, we talked about this idea that maybe like the old world honeymoon phase was coming to an end. And it's been about 6 to 8 months since we talked about that, and where we are sort of now. And so I guess my question to you, Ed, as the cutthroat, cutting edge, competitive player, the studio expert, as it were, what is your current take on the state of the old world? Then we'll go from there and we'll just see where the conversation goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with the balloon in the room. Cathay came out in July. Yeah, Cathay came out in July, and they were overtuned. And the difference, for those of you who play 40k as well, or only play 40k, the difference in the release schedule for fixes for Old World is it's a little bit slower. Now, I have heard whispers that we might be getting an FAQ fix in January, which would be very cool, but that's about 6 months between when something is released as broken and it being fixed. So I would like them to, you know, pull their finger out a little bit faster than that. But if you ignore Cathay, I think the game's in a really solid spot. Do you want me to go through just sort of like, for anyone who has only been sort of casually playing from the start down to here, sum it up in 30 seconds?
Just go. We're just you know my style, Ed. We shoot from the hip. So, you know, if something pops into your head, just go for it.
So we've got the start of the game came out in January 2023, so 2 years ago now. At this point, people looked at it and worked out dragons are the best thing to do. Dragons kind of ran rampant for quite a while, up until roughly, I want to say, this time last year, which is when Dave, who played for Team England this year, successfully won WTC for Team England. Just got to give the international squad a shout out. Yeah, absolutely.
Well done.
Yeah, if you're interested in old world and you want success, come on down. When was the last time England won 40k? I think it was like 2021.
That's true.
So it wasn't that long ago, but we did it this year. Anyway, so he cooked up a strategy to kill dragons, which was, let's get as many cheap poison shooting models.
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
Oh, what a miserable list to play against. I don't blame him for coming up with it.
Yeah.
But that got picked up pretty quickly. So you'd have night goblins flying around. You'd have skeletons flying around. There's lots of armies that could do, you know, like 120 models in a brick with poison shooting. You'd layer buffs and debuffs in the list, and just, you know, one-shot dragons, which is what they deserve, don't get me wrong. But it did feel pretty grim. And that was kind of the adaptation we saw, and then we saw things to try and beat those. But mostly it was just a case of dragons are good, here's the fix for dragons, and then the meta sort of curved around until we got to July of this year, which is the 1.5 balance patch that came with a match play guide. Before this point, we didn't have any objective scoring, and now we have some objective scoring. And I think they got the balance they did it really well, in my opinion. So it's hard to win on secondaries. It's not like 40k where you get, you know, to the 100 points you score, 100 of those points are, secondary objectives.
Yeah.
It's mostly, 2,000 points of kill points, and then a normal game you're looking at about 300 to 600 points of secondary points.
That's what I found.
Domination is dumb, but outside of that, it's all pretty well balanced. And that made infantry better, made dragons worse. It changed the meta, and I think it was a really good fix for the game, with a couple of exceptions. Undead were too good already, and they got too gooder. But it came out at the same time as Cathay, so I think the game's in a really good spot, with the exception of the top end of the meta just needs to be taken down a couple of pegs.
Yeah.
That's my quick summary for where I think the game is. I think the game is fantastic. I think it's very fun, and if you go to an event and you don't play Cathay, you're going to have a great time. But if you play against Cathay, you might get tabled in 2 turns.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny you mentioning the goblin poison meta, because I had actually forgotten that was a thing. It's crazy how quickly we sort of move from one meta to the next sometimes. But yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I haven't seen someone run 100 skeleton archers with the Amulet of the Serpent in a little while. Yeah,
it got hit with a patented triple nerf.
Games
Workshop style. So travel mystical pathways, the spell that teleports you around the battlefield, it went from being within 12 to wholly within. And when your unit is the size of an A4 piece of paper, you can't get wholly within very well. That's a little bit of a problem. Poison shooting, it used to be every model could see large targets. Now it's just a second rank gets to shoot them. So if you've moved, good luck, you don't get a shoot. And then also poison, they went, no longer is a poison an auto wound. It only wounds on a 4. It gives you +2 to wound. So it's at worst 50% as effective, but it's fine. But just the combo of the 3 nerfs.
I wish we had that, because to translate for 40k viewers, poison's basically lethal hits, right? So I love that. Imagine if we had that in 40k, where there was no such thing as lethal hits. It was just, if you get this 6 to hit, then you still have to roll to wound, and it gets +1 to wound or +2 to wound. You can have lethal 1 or lethal 2. So you can have poison 1, poison 2. You can have these with the number denoting the +1 to wound kind of thing.
Does it matter? Because you reroll all your wounds anyway.
Nah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. At this point, I don't think there's any point in rolling the dice for certain factions. But let's just avoid that big old salt pit for a moment and just carry on. We've got plenty of Cathay salt to be mining here today.
I will just very quickly before people get the wrong idea. I'm an ex-40k player. I played through 9th. I really enjoyed it. I find 10th took away a lot of the identity that I enjoyed, which is the reason I stopped playing it. And I enjoyed the applied maths of 40k, but Old World has let me stretch my wings in a different direction. You can be a little bit more. Old World is art, and 40k is, I don't want to say accountancy, because that sounds like I'm making a dig at it, but 40k is numbers and Old World is art. And sometimes you paint a really, really bad picture.
Yeah,
that's okay.
I like that. Yeah. But sort of talking about where we are now, I've got a bit of a theory. Right?
Sure.
So I would say the 1.5 balance update was almost perfect. It was very, 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 very good. I, however, think that the launch of the match play guide kind of overshadowed it a little bit. And also with Cathay at the same time, the conversation around Old World almost overnight went from, we're just happy to be here. We're just happy that fantasy, for 90% of the players, it was like, we're just happy that fantasy's actually back. This is a wild trip. And there was always you talk about those factions that at the very top. And I think there's always been that element with what I always saw when I saw Old World was when I went to a tournament, there'd be 90% of people that were just happy to be there. And then far off at the heady heights of the top tables, there'd be people that had actually come there to win. And they sort of, they did their thing. Maybe you were unfortunate to bump into them, maybe round 1, round 2. But after round 3, it basically filtered itself. And all the players who were meant to be playing to win were up there, and all the players that were just for vibes were everywhere else. And then what happened with Cathay being such a powerful faction, plus the match play guide, because when you think about the moment you start talking about match play, you are actually talking about competitive play in some ways.
Sure.
Basically, overnight, everyone sort of went, "Oh no, I'm not here for vibes anymore. I've got to actually play properly." And I think it's interesting. I think for 6 months, the conversation around Old World was actually somewhat negative, but now it's come back. Or say 6 months. What was July? Yeah, about 5-6 months. Fuck, this year's going quickly. And then now I think we've got back to a point where people have kind of gone, I can't really do anything about. You could try and beat Cathay, but you're probably best just like bringing what you're going to bring.
We have hit the acceptance stage of Cathay. Genuinely, I think I did go through the 5 stages of grief with Cathay. Yeah. So just to go back to what you were saying, I agree with the general sentiment. I don't think the match play guide was necessarily what changed people's opinion. I think it was basically almost entirely Cathay. Because previously you could go to an event with a mediocre list and play well and be like, oh, I think, I'll hit other people doing the same thing. I'll go 3-2. And now that Cathay is such an unbelievable stat check, if you bring anything that isn't one of the top armies with one of the top lists, you just know that you're going to lose to it. And that pushes people in the direction of, how do I write a list to beat Cathay? And what I was doing was I was going, which armies do I want to play? Does it have play into Cathay? If it doesn't, I'm just not going to play it.
Yeah.
I'd set myself a challenge. In Old World, our ranking system for like end of year points is your top 4 scores. So I was like, I want to win 4 events with 4 different armies. That's going to be a goal that I set myself for the year. And it was really hard to pick the last couple of armies after Cathay came out, because I was like, well, what if I just play against Cathay with, a dragon army? Oh, well, I guess I'll lose. That's no good. For those people who are wondering why Cathay's so overpowered, there's 2 big things very quickly. Cannons. They make you -1 to your movement, and they turn off Swift Stride. Swift Stride is the thing that makes you get into combat quickly. Yeah. It's an additional D6 of movement. If you don't have that, you go from, declaring charges 19 inches away to only declaring 15 inches away by the time you've lost the inch of movement as well. Yeah. And it technically stacks. So dwarves, if you put 3 cannon bolts near a dwarf, they can't move. Most tournament organizers have decided, we don't allow them to stack. Rules is written they stack, but that's really dumb, so we're not going to let that stack, and that's fine. Yeah. But it just, even the -1 and the turning off Swift Stride is really good. So cannons are just the most efficient cannons you can get. They can shoot twice once per game or reroll a misfire. It's pretty egregious, but if that's all they had, sure.
And
but then
if
also,
I may cut in, even if you get to the cannons, they've got a big fuck off ogre protecting them. So so the traditional threat of cannons is like, I'll take something that's really fast, like Wolf Riders, or some sort of like elf bastard on a horse, or sometimes just Bretonians. And then what happens is, you send your traditional light cavalry up to the cannon, and obviously the first squad gets grape shotted, but then the second squad goes in and like beats the 3 lightly armored crewmen who are wearing like t-shirts for armor, and the cannon dies. It's like, okay, sweet, this is the natural counter. And then you run into a Cathayan cannon, and there's just some guy who's just like, ugh, just like stood there. And you're just like, oh god, no. Yeah.
Do you want to be even more annoyed?
Yes.
If you send a solo model to chase, so something that you can do, like having War Machine Hunters in your army is not something that's been super useful in Old World compared to previous editions, but it's still got use. Yeah. You might have chaff. Now that we've got various scoring, we've got things called baggage trains, which is an objective that you put down in your backfield in a defended location. If you hold it at the end of the game, you get 100 points. Amazing. But if your opponent destroys it, they get 250 points. Oh, no. So stuff like 5 Wolf Riders getting into the backfield and be like, I'm just going to spend a turn destroying it. Amazing. We're going to do an action. We're going to get 250 points. It's like playing 40k. Fantastic.
No. Let me assure you, it's not. It's much better.
I'm not here to make the digs. I'll leave that to you.
That's fine.
So having those cheap units in the backfield to do that sort of action, and also have the ability to go and threaten war machines is great. And you might do stuff like take a cheap character on a Pegasus, like an Empire character with a couple of pistols, getting up some extra attacks, and you can charge in and near guarantee beat the war machine. If you send a single character model to charge that cannon, the Ogre Load is a character. It could just challenge you out. And then you can't put your attacks into the squishy cannon crew. You're going into the T4 Ogre with 3 wounds that also has 3 attacks. You're like, I actually think I might just lose here.
This is right. You can really easily sum up the problem with Cathay, which is every unit is just a step too far.
You think you found play into them, and then there's another rule.
It's like playing someone who's in Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, you activated my trap card. It's just like, honestly. And then the balloons are just, they've got 7 too many rules.
Yeah. So the big problem, I'm not going to go through all of the rules of the balloons, but
we don't have enough time.
Yeah, I've got an hour from now, so we really do have to wrap up the balloon talk in a reasonable chunk of time. So they're very fast. They move 8 inches. Cathay have a rule where there's a 50% chance that they get +1 to move, and they can march and shoot. And because they're a chariot, they've got 360-degree line of sight. So you can go very, very fast and shoot loads of guns. And the guns they have are, for each one for each one that hits, it's D3+1 hits with their Dragonfire bombs. So
and then they hit on 3s, don't they? They hit on 3s.
Hit on 3s. The unit champion hits on 2s.
Yeah.
So, you've got various bits there. So the damage output is good, and it's very hard to get away from them. Yes, they're on a massive pie plate base, but, they move. They have reserve move as well. So if you don't march, you can move twice and do a free pivot. So they've got a lot of flexibility there. They feel very mobile. Faster than a balloon should do, but they feel very mobile. The problem is you can put characters on them, and characters on dragons was a problem because you could stack defensive layering on them, so it's very hard to actually deal with them.
Yeah.
But they've got a rule where they're unbreakable, so if they lose combat, they don't have to take a leadership test. The way that you lose most of your units in combat is not going to be killing them down to the last man. It's going to be, making your opponent flee, running them down, getting the points. Great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because you could deal with the balloons if a balloon, floats into a unit of like 30 blokes, you could probably actually break it because you could like double outnumber it and like unit strength and stuff. But it's I didn't even know it was unbreakable, man. I didn't even know that's another rule. That's another rule. I didn't even know.
Yeah. So you never test for leadership, but there is a leadership test. If you lose, so worst case scenario, you move back 2 inches and your opponent follows up with you. But you take a leadership test on your very, very high leadership of, I think it's 9 on the characters. So you've got a leadership 9 character. You take your leadership test there. If you pass, then you fall back in good order, move back the highest of, a 2d6, and your opponent can only follow up 2 inches. Now, I don't know if you're any good at maths, but if I'm moving 2 inches forwards and you're moving the highest of 2d6, do you think you get out of combat almost every time?
I think you do. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a numbers guy, but even my goblinoid brain can put that 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. So the problem that we have there is, okay, great. So I charge you. I do like 3 wounds. I win combat. Over 3 rounds of combat, I'm going to get you. I'm going to crack you. Wait, hold on. So you get out of combat for free. It's your turn next. You fly, so you can always march. Not only do you always march, when you fly over the top of me, you're just going to drop some bombs as well, because fuck me, I guess.
And now you're behind me. I can't see you, so I can't charge you.
Yeah. I'm playing an army that has to respect charge arcs. You're like, charge arcs? I'm not charging you. I'm just going to gun you down in the streets like the degenerate dog you are. Like, how dare you come near me? This is disgraceful. It's pretty wild. Balloons are too good.
I have instantly thought of how you fix balloons. They can remove them. You can take they can keep every single rule, every single one. I'm going to add one more rule. Okay. See, everyone else is thinking about taking rules away. No. I'm going to add a rule. They change their movement to random movement. Okay. And you might be like, no, but that means they can charge. You can't stand and shoot. No, don't worry. Random movement with a scatter dice. They're in a fucking balloon. The wind's going to blow them all over the place.
Why do they move 8 inches? Like, why is that a thing?
It should be 2d6 with a scatter dice, and if they blow off the table, then it dies. Because it's just floated off the board.
No. I think you should. I think you should be allowed to come back on, but you can only come back on if you roll in that 180 degrees.
Yeah, in that direction.
You're at the edge of the board, and you better hope that you roll back on.
Blow the wind.
You need 2 turns to come back in.
It's the winds of magic. They have the winds of magic, right? Well, you know what? Yeah. You've also got the actual fucking wind, and sometimes that's not going to be very kind to you. That would be how I would don't change the points. Don't take any rules away from them. Make them just move in an unbelievably random direction. And if they blow off the board, then they blow off the board. That's it.
Yeah, I think an actual one rule change that you could do is just get rid of the unbreakable part. So that leadership test that I talked about, where if you pass, you give ground, that you follow up and they fall back in good order. If you make it so that they have to take a leadership test to not flee first, at that point I could, I'm just going to hit you. I'm going to do I'm winning combat by 4. You're only leadership 9. You have to roll a 2 through 5. so that you can do your shenanigans. Like, that's still bad and oppressive, but suddenly there is a threat of me putting a dragon into the front of you, and actually over 2 or 3 rounds of combat, I am likely to catch you and kill you, and that's a big problem for you. So I think getting rid of Unbreakable would fix them.
That's a good point. I do have a more sensible solution as well.
Yeah.
My other sensible solution is every wound they take, they suffer 1 less movement because the balloon is deflating.
Ooh.
And so,
you know what's really funny about that? They have 9 wounds when you've got the Lord level. Oh no, I think they got 10 wounds when they got the Lord level character on them. So
they would eventually just float to the ground and just be stuck there.
When you've got 1 or 2 wounds left that you just can't move at all.
You can't move. The balloon is punctured at that point. Like, what are you gonna like? What you and also they definitely should suffer more wounds from flaming attacks.
Yeah, take the dry as dust rule from Tomb Kings.
Yeah, because the point is, it's not like, but it's not dry as dust. It's fucking going to explode. Like, if I shoot a hot air balloon,
dry as paper.
Dry as exactly. It's just paper, man. Just like Anyway, there's loads of things you can do with them, which doesn't necessarily mean hitting them with the triple painted nerf. But I think we've come up with like 3 solutions, like right there, and any one of them would. Even my silly fucking blown around the board one, any one of them. Maybe if you have the character and you can re-roll the dice, you could have ways where they could like, because you want to have randomness, but ways that they can maybe like mitigate it a little bit. Because it's like with Impetuous with Orcs, like it's funny, but sometimes you actually want your army to do as it's told. So here's Quell Impetuosity, so you've got a way. So I think there's multiple ways you could fix them, but they need fixing.
Yeah, I like my first suggestion, which is just delete them from the game. But
of course you do. That's your suggestion. I like my blowing around the board suggestion. Chat.
I think that is a fun one. Yeah.
Chat, comments. Let us know. What would you do to fix Cathay balloons? There we go.
Well, you know what? A little bit of the stink, because I think they need to be hit pretty hard. I think balloons need to go to probably just slightly below playable for the people to feel okay about them. If they get hit with a reasonable nerf, people are still going to be looking at them and going, "Oh, they're still too good." I'm still, I don't want to go and play Old World. That could be a problem that mounts up. So I think they need to be taken to just below playable, and then maybe we drop the points on them at a later patch, or we just wait until the next edition, which can't be more than a year or 2 out. So we don't need them to be amazing. And this, something that's going to salve the pain of that, and we're recording this on a Friday, is in what, like 8 hours from now, we're going to see some reveals, and it's very, very clearly going to be Cathay from the release teasers that they've got. If you've got like 2 to 4 new units, suddenly I don't care as much if the balloon is worse.
Yeah, I do. It'll be. We're going to say this now, and it'll be funny looking back on it with the benefit of hindsight. The fact that it's going to be more Cathay. Look, man, I don't know if I'm just suffering from trauma or PTSD at this point, because on the one hand, I'm really, really excited, and I hope that it fleshes the roster out and all that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, I'm worried it's going to absolutely gigafuck Old World. If they're like, oh yeah, well, you thought the balloons were bad. Here are some like handgunners that are like better than chosen warriors of chaos in combat. I'm going like, no, GW, no, put the pen down.
So I think outside of something like the balloons, it would be very difficult for them to release something that's fundamentally broken in a gameplay mechanic, and that's the problem with the balloons and the cannons. The cannons break the game for your opponent. It means that you can't get to them to catch them. The balloons break the game in that they are uninteractable with for a melee army, and shooting armies just don't have the stats to get through them. I don't think if they release infantry or anything like that, it's going to be fundamentally broken in the same way. It might be, overtuned and undercosted, and that's its own problem. But I think I'm not worried about what we get. I think hopefully we see some cool new models, maybe like on the scale of the Sentinel, which is cool.
The Sentinel is cool. It's a shame you never see
50 points too many. Yeah, you could just something along those lines. Some new infantry, maybe some peasants, something like that. I think would be cool to see. However, the joke that everyone's been making.
Yeah.
The joke that everyone's been playing is like, oh, you like the Sky Lantern? How do you feel about the Sky Junk, which is just Balloon 2.0?
No. Wait. Oh.
January comes, they nerf the Sky Lantern. January 2nd, we're releasing the Sky Junk. Here's the model. Here's the rules that we've kept secret. Oh yeah, it's all the things you loved from the Sky Lantern, but here's a second. It sounds like I'm being really doomer about it. I'm really positive.
No. And we love old world. Yeah,
but it is funny to think that it could just be Balloon 2.0.
Yeah. So we've obviously talked a lot about Cathay. We've obviously talked a lot about the balloons. I do want to talk just a little bit more about Cathay because I have actually played them. Nice. I've actually played them, and I don't mean to wank myself off, but I did beat them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason I beat them is because my opponent, in his first turn, spaffed all of his ogre loaders, and then in the rest of the game, blew all his own cannons up.
That helps. That helps.
So that was really why I didn't really win, but my opponent lost. Yeah. I think is the way of describing that game. It was a really, really, really top bloke, though. Actually, it's interesting. Slight side note, but I think this is like because you're a competitive guy, so you'll kind of like get this. A lot of casual people will look at competitive players and like demonize them. But actually, some of the best games I've ever had and some of the most sporting games I've ever had have been against some of the most competitive people with some of the most like competitive lists. It's not about what they're running. It's about how they're acting. And, this game that I played against an army, even if I had lost that game, even if I had lost badly in that game, I still would have come away from that game having had a good experience because my opponent was actually a top bloke. And I think that really that is worth mentioning because there's this image that a lot of non-tournament players have of tournament players, and the reality is that it's my experience is it's the people that think they're more competitive than there are that actually cause some of the reputational damage, shall we say, of the tournament scene. Normally, I go to tournament and the armies are beautifully painted by the people that are running the most powerful stuff, which I think is something that doesn't often get said. But going back to Cathay for a moment, we've talked about the balloons a lot, but one thing that I actually want to talk about, one other thing that kind of annoyed me a little bit when I played them was that stupid ring of Unquiet Spirits. Now, I would have no issue with that ring of Unquiet Spirits if my opponent had basically put it on every unit in his army.
Yeah. Magic items in the old world, that's a once per, unless it's extremely common. What if we took an item that was taken in most armies pre 1.5, the Ruby Ring, which lets you cast a magic missile? And what if we basically just copy and paste across, change the magic missile, and then say, you know what, everyone can take it. Oh, also, the cavalry that you can have 2 units of core at 2,000 points, they can take it.
Yeah. That's what I face.
Yeah, the best thing is that's not even from the Cathay launch. They had an Arcane Journal, which was very underwhelming. There was basically no reason for it to exist in that the Jade Fleet is like, here's the same army, but on top of that, you can also put some Empire units in. So, all right, sweet. Also, here's the magic items.
Actually, I didn't know that. I might actually do that.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
It is cool, and hopefully if Cathay get nerfed, I'm kind of hanging off on doing Cathay until hopefully balloons and cannons get brought in line, because I think there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with it, and hopefully with new units coming, we see a bit of a wider roster. But yeah, in that realm, Jade Fleet, there are rules. Normally, you can't put mercenaries into the non-mercenary units in your army, but here you can. So you could be like, oh, I want to take some Jade Lancers, and I want to give them a Priest of Ulrich and give them multiple wounds 2 on their attacks. Is that good? No. Is it fun? Hell yeah. I'd love to do that.
Because let's be real, the priest ain't going to pass that 7-up leadership test. That 7 down.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But I tell you what he does bring. He has first charge on his horse, and Jade Lancers don't have first charge. So you're paying like 65 points to be like, I'm having first charge, and anything else I get is just a bonus.
Oh my God, they don't have a rule.
I know. It's fine. They're not there to charge. They're there to be magic item caddies.
Yeah.
So in reality, it doesn't matter. But yeah, they're very underwhelming as actually cavalry in terms of. That's the thing. People complain about Cathay top to bottom, and it's not. Most of the book is, underwhelming to decent, and then there's just those 2 things that are so good that it carries the rest of it.
Fix the ring. Fix the balloons. Take character off the ogre. He's not a character. He's not got a brain in his head. He doesn't get to be a character. Job done.
Yeah. It also just fundamentally doesn't work in terms of how does a character in a unit work. So characters that join skirmishes have to be the same unit type, but they're not the same unit type. So you kind of have to just sort of deploy them together and accept that it doesn't work. But then later in the game,
keep talking. I had an idea.
Yeah. So they're truly bizarre. You can take the cannon. Let's say the cannon dies, it misfires or something like that. The character doesn't die. You know what? I haven't looked at the interaction. But let's say the cannon dies for some reason and the ogre loader doesn't die. Although if you are shooting at the cannon, you do have to allocate hits between the cannon and the character. So it becomes even harder to kill it at range, which is, just fantastic for everyone involved, I'm sure. But you can then have the ogre just run off and join other units, but you can't have the ogre loader join the unit that it's designed to join, the artillery, because that's a war machine and it's infantry, and you can only join if you're the same unit type. But you could, if the ogre loader character survives, have it just run off and join some Jade Warriors if you wanted.
That's so stupid.
It's not like broken or OP in any way, but you just look and you're like, that's a weird thing to happen on the tabletop.
That's like a weird interaction. So what I was checking, I had a moment and I was like, oh my God, Orc Bully meta incoming. Because I was like, is the Orc Bully a character? No.
Yep. Oh, is it not? I think it's the same.
Oh, it is. It is. Troop type character. Yes. So next time someone charges my Orc, my Doom Diver catapult, I'm just going to challenge.
Yeah. So it does the same thing, but the problem with the Orc Bully is that it's kind of just not good. So the same problem has existed from the start of the game, but nobody's really cared about it because the bully doesn't work in the same way, in that it's a one wound model that's, sure, it's T4, but if you go in and challenge it with a unit champion or a cheap character, you're just going to kill the Orc Bully guaranteed, and then you're going to win combat no matter what. Whereas if you go into an Orc Bully, not an Orc Bully, an Ogre Loader, you might genuinely lose combat when it hits you back 3 times. You're like, oh, crap, now what?
The Orc Bully is equipped with a whip. Does that actually have a weapon profile?
Yeah, strikes first, AP 0, strength user, no AP, no armor bane.
Oh my God, how did you know that? You.
Because this is my life. This is my full-time job.
I have never encountered a whip in...
I tell you who does have whips.
In Old World, to clarify.
Yeah. Beastlords for Dark Elves. Dark Elves, one of my favorite armies. I don't really play them much anymore. They are in the doldrums, we will say.
Is it because they can't do Cathay?
Well, yeah, honestly, it basically is, because they got better in 1.5, which is not an observation I made myself because I'd stopped playing them by then. So I can't remember who I need to credit. It might have been Willem from my Discord. If it's not, apologies to whoever pointed that out. But basically, they've got missile troops that also come with a hand weapon and shield. And in 1.5, one of the ways they made infantry better was they fight in 2 ranks, but also hand weapon shield. You get an additional +1 to your save. So suddenly, cheap infantry gets so much more survivable in combat. And just being able to stand there and shoot with some repeater crossbows, which are, they're basically las guns. They fire for effect. They do nothing. But occasionally you'll get a wound through and you're like, oh, sweet, I get 1 or 2 wounds with the standard shoot. There's some combat res. Now I'm fighting in 2 ranks. I get a couple of combat res there. You kill less of me because I've got hand weapon shield. And that actually feels really good for something that stands on an objective, holds the off objective, whatever your sort of neutral objective is, the one that you're not contesting over too much. But how do they make Cathay? They don't. All right, I'll just leave them in there. These really useful boxes that I've got there for now, and maybe reassess in 3 months' time.
I think everyone wants a Dark Elf army at some point because they are just cool. And I have 2 Dark Elf armies that I would play. One would be just lots of the crossbowmen and spearmen kind of thing, and the other one would be pure Corsair. Whatever, anything Corsair related. I know that unfathomably shit. It will not stop me from getting an army of them. I will turn up with my Corsair army and I will lose every game and I'll have a massive grin on my face because I'm just as we said at the beginning of the video, I'm just happy to be here. I played Old World as a kid and then it got taken away from me and I sulked for 8 years and then they brought it back and now I'm happy again. And that feeling will never go away. There'll be whole generations of new Old World players that will come in and they'll be they'll be complaining and complaining and complaining. And I'll just be just be glad you can play.
Just be glad you've got it. I like how you say that feeling will never go away. I think by game 2 of Corsair, 2,000 points of Corsairs, it might go away.
So I know what you're saying, but
yeah,
I actually have, I can bring the receipts to tell you, like, I will enjoy that. I will chow down that shit sandwich nonstop, because before the 1.5 update, I always ran mass Empire State Troops.
Yeah.
And they were bad.
Yeah. No, I've seen that you're doing that, but like we're talking different scales. It's like saying I'm going to take
talking different scales.
Full bricks of militia. That's the scale.
Oh, bro, I would. In fact, not only would I take full bricks militia, but just off camera there now, I have got the beginnings of my pure Bretonian peasant army.
Oh yeah, but Bretonian peasants are the best thing in the book. They're disgustingly good. One of the armies that I played. Oh yeah.
I go on.
I've been talking. To me. Yeah, I've been talking about Bretonian peasants as like the third undead army, because they are not quite at the level of undead, but they're disgustingly cheap and they're so reliable. If you're talking, peasant archers, you're paying 5 points per model for something that can have skirmish for free, has a longbow, and just sits there at the back. You can take like 14 of them and give one of them a standard, and that comes in at 75 points. That's really good at holding back objectives. Peasants, nobody cares about peasants, to the point where if you get the banner from a peasant unit, it doesn't give up any extra victory points. So you've got a unit that not only will plink off wounds over time, so if your opponent's using like fast cav or something like that, it's actually genuinely a threat. If you're hitting on 5s with 14 shots, over the course of the game, you'll kill 2, 3, 4 elves with T3 and only a 6 up armor save, and it does make it more difficult for them to play. But you can stand there against like a unit of light, like 5 Marauder Horsemen, for example. You stand there, you stand and shoot. You maybe kill 2 of them on the stand and shoot. They get in, they kill a couple of models. You maybe kill a model back. You've got infantry outnumber. You've got the standard bearer, so you're getting extra combat res. You get to the end, you're like, oh, I win combat by 3. Can you give me a leadership test on your unit that has terrible leadership and is nowhere near the core of the army, so it doesn't have the general's leadership bubble? They're very successful. And peasant archers, they're worse than the bricks of infantry. I love them. They're great. That's the floor of what we're doing. We're going up. Then we've got
I have looked into taking 80 men at arms in multiple bricks of like 80 men at arms, and just being like with a sergeant of arms in there. Because the funny thing about the sergeant of arms is that his ability works even if he's like refused to challenge. His ability just works. Because it doesn't.
I think you can't use any rules.
I might be
for
wrong.
Anyone who refuses. I might be wrong on that. Old World. I don't know, man.
You knew what a whip did. Like, there's a real chance that you're right.
The whip is like a stat line that just you look at and it's there in your head.
Okay.
The rules in Old World are ephemeral.
Yeah, that's true. But
if you want to know if you can march when you fly, you're like, oh, look at the last paragraph of flight. It's not in the march rules. Everything's really poorly laid out.
Yeah.
So I might be wrong on that one.
But my idea is basically just to have like a unit of peasants with like a sergeant at arms in there, and then he just goes, you just got to choose to fall back.
Yeah. The best thing is you don't even need to do that. Like, that's a great little combo on paper. You're like, oh, I can put the character in there. I can have the Grail Monk. I can give them the stubborn, the triptych that makes them stubborn, and people can kill them out of the unit. They're very squishy relatively. You only have to put a few attacks into them to get rid of it. People forget to do that, frankly, if you're not playing against very high level players, so you can just kind of get away with it. But you don't even need to. A brick of men at arms, they are 4 points per model, which is frankly illegal. Yes, they're weapon skill 2, but they do come with shield walls. So the first time you fall back in good order, it's just automatically a give ground, which is amazing. You can have 2 unit champions. So good luck ever charging a dragon into the front of this unit, because it's going to challenge out for forever. You've got a static combat res of 6. Things that charge you with first charge are a little bit of a problem, but just play better. Don't let them do that.
Don't worry about it. Put the bowman
put something cheap in
So
between.
my plan was to have the men at arms at the front, and then the bowman behind, and sorry, other way around. Bowman at the front, and the bowman get charged, and then they've got the defensive stakes, and then the bowman just like break and die. But it's like, oh, I lost like 200 points across like the whole army, And then suddenly there's like 80 men at arms, and they're like, "Where's your first charge, buddy?"
Yep.
Where's your first
100%.
charge?
I wouldn't even bother with the defensive stakes, because that might convince your opponent that maybe I don't charge. Just put them in skirmish, put them in front, jobs are good, and they're definitely going to get that 75 points for killing 14 peasants. They're going to feel real good about it. Then they overrun into you with your static combat res of 6. You've got hand weapons and shields, so they're going to be wounding you on, probably 2s, but then you've got a 4-up save, depending on what you've, what weapons they've got. You can just rip through. Men-at-arms are great. Men-at-arms are fantastic. You know what's even better? Yeoman Guard.
Yeah.
If you're in Exiles,
pay that 1 point more.
For 1 point more, you get +1 weapon skill. I think you get +1 leadership in there as well. Obviously, they've got Horde and Warband, so you just sat at leadership 9 for doing nothing, which is very funny. They come with Veteran built in. Good luck ever getting them. Yeah. Peasants with Veteran. They can have magic
They don't live long enough, even if they're not in combat. They just die of dysentery at 16. How are they long living?
My lord.
Our rations, Lord.
No, Exiles are fantastic. If you're thinking about playing a full peasant army, genuinely take a good look at Exiles. Not only do you have, all of the great things in there, you also get peasant wizards, which fits the flavor really nicely as well. And they're more likely to blow themselves up, which is just a fun rule to have.
Yeah.
Why not?
And you can take double. My idea was because my idea was I wanted to really fit the theme of no horses, and it was going to be an Agincourt style list. So I was going to have so what I wanted to have is my mandatory unit of Knights of the Realm were going to be the ones that are on foot. I'd take them at like a reasonable size, maybe 20 or something, put my general in there, put my BSB in there, just have that in the center, and then that, spilling the leadership out basically. And the reroll for your BSB out and everything, and then basically put 2 bricks of peasants of 80 on either side, and then have probably about 40 to 60 archers in small, probably 10-man squads or something like that, with the idea being in some games they'll be at the front dying, and in some games where the enemy hasn't got first charge, they'll be around the flanks and stuff, or on the hill, good old hill, never lets you down. And then I was 2 bombards, 2 trebuchets.
Sure.
And just be that's how do you project force of peasants? I shoot them. I shoot people.
Not a bad plan.
That was my idea.
Something fun that you can do. You wouldn't be able to take the bombards because this would be an Errantry Crusade. But Errantry Crusade gives you +1 inch to your declarable charge. So you go from being, it also gives you +1 inch on your actual charge movement as well. So your unit of foot knights go from being able to charge 10 inches to being able to charge 11 inches. On top of that, you take the Virtue of the Impetuous Knight, put on a character in with the foot knights, and that gives you an extra 3 inches declarable charge, and you get an extra D3. Suddenly, you've got a unit of foot infantry that can declare charges up to 14 inches away.
That's so...
Is it good? It's fine. Is it funny? Yeah, it's really funny. Problem with doing that is you probably want to do it in Errantry Crusade because you get the extra movement, and also they keep the ward save. You lose the ward save if you go in Exiles because they're exiled.
I wasn't planning on really having a ward save, if I'm going to be real with you.
All right, let's go Exiles then.
Yeah, because peasants don't get one, do they?
True. It's the foot knights, but just take a wizard that can cast Oaken Shield on them or something like that.
That was it, yeah.
It'll be fun. Yeah. But yeah, so you can put, you'd only be able to charge 13 inches in Exiles, but that's still pretty funny. And
that's actually hilarious. Like a 14, that's as far as what feels like some cavalry, really, sort of. The cavalry,
the low end of heavy cavalry is 16 inches. So when you've got a 14-inch declarable charge range for infantry, and also you can't countercharge infantry, so it makes the foot, the positioning jockeying game of who gets the charge first, quite interesting into cavalry for sure.
I think Errantry Crusades become a lot more attractive as well with the change to Impetuous. It's no longer that 4-up, it's leadership. And does Veteran help you with that as well? Because yeah, that's cool. Because Veteran was kind of shitty at first, and now I feel like it's got a lot better.
Veteran was at base just a good rule, but it wasn't exciting. So you'd be like, oh, this is good. Do I pay points for it? Maybe I don't bother. But if I've got it, amazing. Just having those rerolls in. I don't have to have a battle standard bearer. And for some armies, that was difficult, especially in 1.5, before 1.5, when you're like, what am I doing with my characters? Let's just go 1,000 points of dragons. I haven't got room for a BSB, so it's quite nice to have there. And then suddenly, all of the things that were really struggling with, Errantry Crusade, for example, that have Impetuous. Impetuous got changed to be a leadership test instead of just a flat 50-50. And you're like, oh, wait, hold on. Veteran works on this now, or Veteran works on various other bits and pieces. I think Veteran would even work on Stupidity. Unfortunately, I don't think any stupid units in the game are Veteran, and there's no way to apply Veteran to Cold One Knights, which are my favorite stupid unit.
I wonder if maybe a Chaos Lord, if he rolls... I don't know if Chaos Lords have Veteran.
No. There might be a way to get...
Because he can get
I'm sure there is...
but from the, the table. Can. Yeah. Which happens way more than people think it does. Like, I don't think I can't remember the last time I played a game where a Chaos player didn't roll a 1 into a 1.
So it's okay for Chaos because they've got a 5-point extremely common item where they go, okay, it doesn't matter that I rolled Stupidity. I'm going to consume one of my favors of the gods and I'm going to reroll at 1. Beastman players, the least favorite children of Chaos, just don't have that item. So when you're playing Beastman, you're like, okay.
I hate Beastman.
My characters are incredible beat sticks. I'd love them to be even better. I'd love to have more strength, more weapon skill, more attacks. All of these things are incredible. My leadership's a little bit bad. Let's get a 6. Let's get that strength and leadership. But if I roll a 1, I'm definitely stupid. And that is... Yeah.
Officer Doofy reporting for duty, sir.
Let me tell you, leadership 10 stupidity test, you fail that way more than you think you should. And it's only ever on the turn where it absolutely loses you the game.
Of course.
Me and my Cold One Knights having a bad time with stupidity. That's for sure.
So we sort of spoke a little bit about Praetorian Exiles a moment ago, and I'm going to force the conversation now in an unorganic way to what I want to talk about, which is going to be Renegade Crowns.
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of Renegade Crowns. I think they are not only great and fun and flavorful, I think they're genuinely a good way to play, apart from Cathay. So we did a lot of setting the stage, talking about the balloon in the room. Cathay ruin Renegade Crowns, and I don't think they really have a way to play into them. But if we just forget that they exist,
hard disagree. I beat Cathay with Renegade Crowns.
No. He beat himself. Remember, you told us the story already.
No, I'm rewriting history now. My opponent was unlucky. So you know how we talked about like the Ring of Unquiet Spirits? Like my opponent had 2 opportunities to like cast that on 1 turn. One of which was into a unit of infantry with full plate, and one was into a unit of very expensive knights with full plate, and he failed both of them, and then I charged him and killed him. And he shouldn't have failed either. I didn't even have a wizard nearby that could have dispelled him. Do you know what I mean? It was just like
that's pretty rough.
He just failed him. And that was my opponent lost that game, and I was just looking down, and I was like, if that Ring of Unquiet Spirit goes off, I am in danger. Oh boy.
Yeah. Unquiet Spirits, for anyone who doesn't know, 3d6 auto hits, strength 2, no armor saves allowed.
Yeah.
No armor saves is very key because the way that this army likes to work is go, oh, what if I just put full plate and shields on everything? Yeah. You can do other things, but you'd be like, what if I had great swords from Empire, but instead of them being special, they were core, and also I can give them shields, and also I can give them a wizard that marches them 24 inches. You can do that in Empire, but it's... Wounding on 5s, killing on 5s because there's no armor save makes that a very scary proposition.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I played Empire nonstop for like a year and a half. And the moment Renegade Crowns came out, it was like someone had written a book. It was almost like, I almost feel like it was almost a nod to the Empire players. Like, it's okay.
Sure.
You can have fun now. You've done your time. And it's like, sweet. See you later, Nuln. And like going over to like Renegade Crowns. And I've never, as someone who for years has just loved state troops, just basically being able to like clad my state troops in like full plate has completely given them a new lease on life. And they now feel like the way they're meant to feel. And I've had a unit of Renegade Crown veterans with full plate actually hold off, like, and I know high elves aren't particularly good, but state troops aren't particularly good, right? And I actually had like them hold off a unit of high elf sword masters because of the fact that like, well, we're both basically, I mean, you're hitting me on 3s, but then I'm wounding you on 3s with my halberds, and then we've both got like a 6-up save in this scenario because you're AP 2, so I get a 6-up save, and I'm AP 1, so you've got a 6-up save. And so it's like, oh, how interesting. And like, I actually, but how much do your guys cost? Like 16 points to model? Ha, man, like 8. Suck it. And it's like stabbing them in the face. Yeah, and I actually, for the first time in years, I had a unit of state troops actually do what they're kind of meant to do, which is hold the line. Because normally they just kind of crumble. And it was like, it was the first time they actually held the line, and it made me very happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, so if we're just talking about the unit itself, the sellsword, which is like the equivalent to the state troops, you've got the normal sellswords, which are fine, and they're a point cheaper. I just always go for the veterans. For 1 point more, you get a point of weapon skill, and you also get on the unit as well. So paying a point for those two rules, incredible.
Yeah,
it does unlock the full plate, which is fine. I actually find that I go heavy armor and shield a lot more, because with the parry save, parry caps out at a 3-up save anyway, so you can't get to a 2-up save with it. So just having that, spending 1 point for shield, and then I think it's 2 points for the heavy armor.
It is,
as opposed to the 4 points for full plate. So you can have for 8 points a model, heavy armor, shield, and the veteran rule on there, and you just got 8 point per model that doesn't ever break, flee, run away. It's incredibly tanky. You can obviously still get hold of the Griffin banner if you take it on a character that goes in the unit as well.
Because you can have, just to explain for the viewers, you can upgrade your characters to. This is why I love this thing. You can basically upgrade the characters to explain what their background is. So like, because Renegade Crown is all about, they're basically half mercenaries, but also kind of like half like exiled lords and shit from like around the old world. And so sometimes your guy might be a like an exiled empire lord. Sometimes he might be like a Bretonian duke that's fallen on like hard times. Sometimes it might just be some guy from like it could represent anything. It can represent anything. So, but each one has a different effect and also unlocks different things. And one of them is like noble outlaw, I think it is, and that lets you basically take like empire stuff.
I'm going to stop you there. Not only does it let you take empire stuff, it also gives you the option of having a gun, and it gives you +1 ballistic skill.
That is true.
Now, let's be clear. My wizards are strapped up. They got the block.
I love how you can put it. You can put it on wizards. Yeah. It's like,
not only can you probably should. I think the empire items for wizards are just objectively the best thing to do with them. You can go Bretonian and be like, oh, I get the prayer icon that gives me +3 inch dispel range and +1 to dispel against hexes. That's fine.
Yeah.
But do I want to have +1 to cast magic missiles and assailments? Do I want to be able to cast a magic missile twice? Yeah, hell yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Do I want +1 to dispel as an item? All of these things that Empire have. And then you're also like, oh, well, I'm going to put my wizards on a horse. I'm going to put them in a unit of outriders, or not outriders, the hireling outriders, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to give them reserve move. I'm going to run around with pistols. May as well give my wizard a pistol as well.
Yeah.
It'd be rude not to, just to have a few
want him
more
to
shots.
miss out.
Yeah, absolutely. And he doesn't miss because he's got +1 ballistic skill. So yeah, you're just running around with a repeater pistol, which is the same range as all of the other shooting you're doing in the unit, while being like, oh, I'm going to also throw out 2 demonology like summoning spells and hope I don't miscast. Because if I do miscast,
it's
probably kill myself.
Signature, isn't it? Summoning.
Yes. Yeah.
See, I've been playing my character. See, this is on your side of the screen is like, you dare challenge Megamind, as like you're coming up with all these like really like cool combos. My brain went as far as, yeah, if I put Telia's Stoicism on a unit and then put that guy in a unit, then they're stubborn. That's a good combo. And that's as far as my thinking went. And then I was like,
it's a good combo.
And then it's like, what item should I give him? And you're like, oh, you could do this. And I'm like, good old Sword of Battle. Never lets you down.
So you know how you were glazing me for knowing the whip's profile?
Yeah.
The Sword of Battle is such a non-item in my mind that I could not tell you what it does. I think it's the +1 strength, AP, and attack.
It is!
For like, oh, okay, never mind. I can't tell you what it does.
Don't worry, you went into the Mind Palace and you like sorted the information and you found it.
I mean, the secret about, Old World is there's not actually that much to remember in terms of stat lines. It's like humans have human stat line, elves have elf stat line. So everything's kind of standardized in that way. So there's additional spice around it, but it's not actually all that much to remember. It's an easier party trick than it sounds, I guess.
So I think you're being very modest, but that's okay. So I love the Sword of Battle. And my 3-2 go-to magical weapons, this is probably going to make you cry, is the Sword of Battle, the Duelist Blades, and the Pearl Daggers. And the reason I take those, the Pearl Daggers are good, but the reason I take those 3 is because I've been playing Empire, right? And Empire, it's like, how many attacks does your captain have?
Less than they should.
They've all got 1 less than they should do. It's like because they made like the combat characters of the Empire, like the chapter masters and stuff. And what they did, they kind of fucked it up because they should have given them +1 attack rather than taking 1 attack off the general and the captain, essentially. And so
I think just having them both at like 3 attacks for the hero level character and 4 for the lord level character, but then giving the chapter master, here's like actual good weapons you can have. Here's good weapon skill you can have. All of those sorts of things would feel right. But instead, you've just got like a captain that does nothing. And because you can't have in Renegade Crowns a chapter master or anything like that, you're like, oh, what's my combat character? Well, at best, weapon skill 6 with 3 attacks before I put. To be fair, you can give them like +1 or +2 weapon skill depending on weapons you go for. Not weapons, the backstories that you give them. I've forgotten the name. So you can get decent weapon skill, but you're still, strength 4 with 3 attacks at best, which is incredibly underwhelming.
My Renegade Crown combat character is my Exile Bombard. Because I don't get into combat. I just shoot. Oh, that's a scary thing that'll tear me up in combat. Bang. Oh, look, he's got away now. That's good. Honestly, Bombards are ridiculous. They're so good.
Yeah.
They're cheaper than a great cannon and better in every way.
So for 100 points, you have a cannon that has the same effective stat line into
strength 8 versus strength 10 is very.
Oh no! I only wound the 1 steam tank I see a year on 3s instead of 2s.
However, will I manage?
Yeah, I think they have better AP, right? I think a great cannon is AP 2 armor bane.
No, it's AP 3. It's AP 3 armor bane 2 on both.
Sure. And then you got the D3 +1 damage, which is actually the important part, and it's why dwarf cannons are so stat. But the thing that's bizarre about them is like, oh man, I haven't got any engineers. How am I going to be consistent with them? What if we just gave them a completely different misfire table? 1, it dies. Cool, that's fine. On a 6, it shoots. This turn, it still shoots.
It shoots in a way that you actually kind of want it to shoot as well. Which is like,
it's wild, and you can't shoot next turn. Oh no! But then, like, you only ever lose a single turn of shooting with it, either this turn or next turn if you roll the 6. Yeah. So they're way more consistent than they have any right to be. But also, really important, a 50 by 50 mil square base. You know how hard it is to hit a 50 by 50 mil base with someone else's cannon. It's really hard when it's a 75 mil base.
Yeah, I actually ran mine on the wrong base size, but it obviously disadvantaged me because I ran it on the Empire Great kind of base size. That's just what I had, and when the Cathay guy was shooting into me, I just put them on a hill because obviously, and then he was like, "Yeah, but you're absolutely right because he basically has to roll within 1 bracket, otherwise he just misses."
If you line up perfectly, and this is kind of splitting hairs about, 50 millimeters is technically slightly less than 2 inches because it's like 50.8 millimeters. So we are splitting hairs here. But if you're
I don't think we're splitting hairs. I think we're taking advantage of the rules as written.
That's the problem. That's why people get a bad image of tournament players, and they're like, but they're just abusing rules. Bad players do that.
Yeah.
All of the good players I know who go to tournaments are not super cutthroat in that way. So a video that I want to do at some point is the concept of rule whack lists, win at all cost lists. You can't have a win at all cost list. Win at all costs is a playstyle philosophy. It means you're a dickhead. It's not about bringing a good list. But that's a rant for another day since we're on a bit of a
true. Yeah, win at all costs is not a list. Win at all costs is a mindset.
A philosophy.
Yeah.
A dickheadism. As I say.
I wonder if instead of whack, it's like instead of win at all costs, it's like wanky, annoying, anally retentive cunt. And now the video is demonetized.
No, you didn't do it in the first 5 seconds, so you're probably fine. Of course, that would be a wark, but it's okay. We can workshop.
I'll hyphenate it. It's fine. I'll just misspell it.
There we go.
I collect hawks and goblins, man. I'll spell things the way I want.
Yeah, my last job had one of those backronisms that they used to motivate you, and it was relentless, and it was so frustrating.
Give
to
me the
read
gun,
as
I'll
someone-
do it myself.
yeah. But like the first R in relentless was relentless, never reckless, and you're like, motherfucker, like this is not an acronym. I'm getting off topic, but yeah, they
I can
needed
feel
someone to
like
just better
I feel
market for them.
the trauma bubbling up, Ed. It's okay. They can't hurt
They had
you
them in the
anymore.
bathroom. They had a thing. I think they had it in the bathroom. So every time I'm stood there taking a piss, I'm just like, this is so fucking annoying to read. Like, you're just so wrong. It's like I could do a better, doesn't matter.
It's okay. It's okay. You know what's actually funny? It's actually not off topic, because anyone who's been watching my channel for the last few months will know I've been going off on one about Corpo GW and like how it explains a lot of why they sort of do what they do. Like, oh, why did GW do that? It's like because they're thinking in a new way. They're Corpo now. And one of the things that I said is one of the things that you talk about, like these bullshit acronyms, and what's our mission statement, and what all this kind of wanky bollocks. And the one that I said, the moment that a company starts talking in these terms is the moment that you need to basically start updating the CV, because it's going to go sideways pretty quickly. It's when they start doing these big like team building days where someone starts talking about what energy you are. You're a red energy person. You're a blue energy person. You're a yellow energy person. You're a green energy person. It's like, and it's just like, how about you're a fuck off energy person, and we get back to doing our jobs? How is any of this productive and helping? It's just people want a jolly.
You know what? That's really interesting, Tim. I think we should shelve that one for now. Let's circle back and touch base on it another time, because we do have a deadline here.
Yeah, let's. The number one, the moment you know it's gone fucked is when the word dynamic starts entering the workplace. Ah, yes, this is a very dynamic approach. We need to do this to synergize. Let's blue sky that thinking, and it's just like, how about you leave me alone so I can get on with my job? Anyway,
there might be a reason that neither of us are doing office jobs, and we're instead sat here talking about war games on the internet. We're maybe better suited for that than
I think
else.
so. I think so. Yeah, and you know what? They can have their office, because you know what? Now I get to work at home in my pajamas every day, and it's great, and I'm still very productive. So there you are. There you are.
I'm going to bring us back, because I have about 10 minutes left.
Yes.
So I'm going to point out the things that I don't like about Renegade Crowns. I wish they had
I won't hear it. Thanks, great. Thank you for coming on, Ed. Brilliant. No, my beloved will not be criticised. Okay.
No. Like I think there are some things that I wish they'd done better. So organ guns. In the rare slot, you can only have 0 to 1 per 1,000 points of organ guns or bombards. Bombards are so good. You just never use the organ guns. I wish they were maybe like brought into the special slot, and they were 0 to 2 per 1,000 with the mortars or something like that, or even just keep them 0 to 1. Just have them under their own limitation there, because they're really cool. Bombards are not overpowered. Not bombards, sorry. The organ guns are not overpowered in any way. You don't have rerolls. You don't have any way of imparting ballistic skill onto them the way that Empire can. You get less shots. They'd just be a very quite reliable, moderate output unit for the cost. I think that would be great. It'd be something that Renegade Crowns could really do with. That's the main thing that I have as a criticism. Also, I know that Empire Inner Circle Knights, which is what the veteran Freeblades, the heavy cavalry equivalent, only have 1 attack. But if I see a special slot heavy cavalry unit that only has a single attack, I just cannot think of a reason to take it. It feels so underwhelming compared to what it could be. Like, you look at, I don't know, Dragon Princes, Cold One Knights, Chosen Knights. All of these things have a lot more oomph to them.
Even if you gave them Furious Charge.
Yeah.
So they don't have it all the time, but they have it some of the time. So I actually have a couple of, I agree with you in some areas. Like the organ gun versus bombard situation, the problem with them sharing a slot is very simply that because you don't have big monsters in Renegade Crowns, and you don't have the extra attacks on those knights, it's like, okay, so what actually do I have that can kill big enemy monsters? And the answer is the bombards. So you have to take the bombards. So yeah, I think putting I know they don't want them to become, they don't want Renegade Crowns just to become like Nuln with a reskin. which is why I think they've very purposely been like, okay, you can have some guns, but not many. And it's like, okay, fine. Okay, I get it. But maybe even if they literally said you can get 0 to 1 bombards per 2,000 points. And then in rare, they said like 0 to 1 organ guns per 2,000 points. And the idea is that you can just turn it with 3.
Sure.
That would be fine.
Yeah.
That would be fine. That would be great. And actually, the first couple of games that I played with Engage Crowns, I actually made that mistake because I just didn't read the rules properly. And I brought 2 bombards and an organ gun. Now, I corrected it before I went to my tournament, but it was actually, yeah. The other thing I would say, read the knights, is I took the knights out of my list and then I put them back in. And the reason I put them back in is because I was looking at my list and be like, what do I actually have that can project force outside of these 2 bombards? And I was like, well, I've got crossbows, but they're like they're okay. They're good. I actually like them, but like they're only strength 4. What do I have that can project force at strength 5 or greater? I was like, well, I've got a unit of great swords. Great, that's fine, but they're quite slow. They're more like taking a charge rather than projecting it. You're going to say they're not as slow as I think they are, but for me, I got to the knights and I was like, look, they can just move very quickly because they can march like 16 inches and they can just like charge like Swift Stride. And so I might not like them as much, I might like them as first glance, but I kind of need them so I can project force. And I put them back in my army and I've not regretted it.
Sure. I think, so my take here on something to project force is go with 2 bricks of veteran sellsword infantry. You go one that's just going to be there to tank a charge, be combat res, you know what it's going to be. It's going to be heavy armor, it's going to be hand weapon shield, it's going to have a character with the Griffin banner in there. Maybe you give them a war banner as well. Whatever. It's going to sit there, it's going to have like 10 combat res, your opponent's going to look at it and go, I don't have anything to deal with that. I'll just leave it. And that's going to anchor like an objective. You're going to sit there, and if they never get charged, you're like, amazing, they've done their job. So proud of you boys. The second unit, the great swords you talked about, you can go either heavy armor or full plate. I think on this one I like the full plate because sometimes you're going to tank a charge with hand weapon and shield, and sometimes you're going to go, it's cleaving time. So you're going to want probably the full plate there. Give them either halberds or great weapons, and you put in an outcast wizard lore familiar double power scroll and put them on demonology. You're picking demonic vessel, you're picking demonic figure, you're picking Steed of Shadows. Turn 1, you're going to power scroll Steed of Shadows. You're going to march 24 inches. You're going to put your brick of infantry 1 inch away from whatever you want them to be in combat with. Your opponent then goes, oh, I haven't got Arcane Urgency, Travel, Mystical Pathways, any of the spells that get me out of this situation. So I can either A, charge you, or B, like pivot, walk backwards, still be in your charge range. Comes to your turn. So you either tank the charge on like the full plate and shield and take, minimal damages, have some sort of pretty decent armor save in there as well. Second round of combat, cast Demonic Vessel. Every model suddenly gets 2 attacks at +1 strength, +1 AP. Great weapons come out, halberds come out, whatever it is, and you just absolutely cleave through them. And that's how you, I think, project force with this list in a way that you're still just picking up a unit of infantry and putting them on board.
That's true. And points wise, I think 24 greatsword guys is about 270 points, and 8 knights is like 270 points. So
yeah.
We'll have to go in a moment, won't we? Yeah,
we can go another 5 minutes or so.
The one thing I would say very quickly is I think what we're seeing here are 2 people who are enjoying the same army but playing them in very different ways. So my way, and I think this has probably come out from born out of my playing Empire sort of roots, is I take infantry and then I project force to force my opponent to come to me. So then I hold the line. So I whittle them down and they kind of then like laminate themselves on my line. And if my line holds, then I win. If my line breaks, then I lose, kind of thing. And the way that you do things is like, I'm going to go and get you. So you're going, I'm like forcing them to come to me and you are going to get them. And I think that's probably an element of you're slightly more competitive player in this game, because I do that whole I'm going to go and get you mentality in like 40k, because that's the game I'm more comfortable playing competitively, and you're doing an old one. I think it's not necessarily like even like a playstyle difference. It's almost like a level of competitive mindset difference. It's like you more competitively you play, the more aggressively you think in terms of how you're going to like go out there and get the win, kind of thing, rather than I'm going to sort of stand here and make them come to me. I think it probably comes down to playstyle, but probably also comes down to like approaching the game in a different way. This is not a bad thing, by the way.
Sure, sure. If you want to win more games of whatever game you're playing, think about it in terms of how can I remove agency from my opponent's ability to play the game. If I'm going, old world, they can only move straight forwards, or they can shuffle sideways, they can shuffle backwards. I know if I park a unit in front of you, I've taken away the choice of how that unit's going to play. I've picked the fight. Yeah, you might get to charge me and hit me first. I've, accounted for that. I've made them tanky. Then in the next round, we're going to kill them. But if you just do things like that and you remove the amount of options that your opponent has, it makes it a lot easier for you to win. And then you've just got to sort of mitigate losses elsewhere on the board when they try and do the same to you.
I think it's that old saying, being proactive versus reactive. If you're proactive, you're dictating the flow of the battle. You've got the initiative. And if you want to try and force your opponent to be reacting to you. And that's something that I learned back in like 5th edition of 40k, ages ago.
Yeah, it's why it's so hard for dwarves to win games, because they just don't have that threat projection. You can't. Your game plan is people have to come to me, and then you make this like incredible Roman style bristling wall of shields, and that any sort of like good players can look at and go, if I charge in here, I just lose the game. And then you end up with really drawish scenarios, or maybe over 6 turns the good player manages to position and pick off one dwarf unit and get an 11-9 victory. And it's so hard to have that level of agency when you're playing dwarves. That's the big thing that I want to change for dwarves. I don't know how it works. I don't know what you do
Slayers
to change the agency.
Just running
we
forward.
don't talk about that.
What, the full Slayer army? Is that a thing? Is that a thing? Is that a thing? I was just memeing.
It's in the same book as the Renegade Crown's Army of Infamy that you've been playing at tournaments.
Is it
That's
good?
how bad it is. You haven't. No. It's frustrating.
I didn't even get to those pages yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother.
Isn't this like the 3rd time they've tried to make Dwarf Slayers a thing, and they're just not a thing?
I guess you could argue that. I think that individually, like the Doomslayer, I just got the fucking music playing in my head. Is it Doomslayer, the Slayer that they printed in the last? Yeah, all right. Doomslayer with his green helmet. When they printed that in the Dwarf Arcane Journal, the one that when it dies, it doesn't give up victory points, but if it stays alive, it does. Fantastic flavor. The runes, the tattoos around it, amazing. They nailed it. And then they were like, we're going to do a whole army of this. You're like, you've kind of just not given us any reason to play them. What I'd love to see for a Slayer Army of Infamy is make them unbelievably tanky against shooting, like specifically. When they hit combat, they're naked dwarves. The T4, they have no other defenses. But against shooting, they're going to get to combat. I think that would be a really interesting way to design an army. Yeah.
Regen 4+.
Genuinely, I think like a 4 at ward or a 4 at regen against shooting
just
only.
Against, maybe not magical shooting? No. Even magical. They're dwarves, man. They hate magic.
Yeah, like I don't like the delineation that we've got in Old World, where it's like, oh, you've got this against non-magical shooting specifics. Like ballistic skill shooting's kind of cheeks a lot of the time, because it's so easy to stack modifiers. If you like play correctly, and this is something that people don't necessarily think about, you only have to have 0.1% of your unit obscured from an enemy's vision to have the entire unit be -1 to hit from light cover.
Yeah,
it's like,
true, actually.
0.1% to 49.9% is, or 50% is -1 to hit. And if you're above 50%, you're -2 to hit. And then if you touch a wood, you're -1 to hit. If you're at long range, you're at -1 to hit. So all those like handgunners with ballistic skill 3 are often stood at the other side of the board going, what do you mean I'm hitting on 8s?
Yeah.
This isn't on. It's very difficult to use ballistic skill shooting. So the fact that we've got this protection against non-magical shooting, I'm like, that's fine. It's good against Cathay, but just give me something that's good all of the time. And then magic missiles are less of a problem. Although, I mean, they've kind of fixed that with various tweaks to the game.
So do they have a ward save against non-magical shooting at the moment?
I think it's a 6-up against non-magical shooting that they have to pay a point for the privilege to have. And dwarves are expensive already on a 3-inch move model that has to get into combat to do anything. Yeah, it's the one build you maybe look at with Slayers is you go, oh, well, technically the way that limitations are written in the match play guide is if the things are limited in a certain way in the army list roster, they do not suffer from the restrictions in the match play guide, which means that even if that restriction is less restrictive, so for example, 0 to 3 cannons, technically, rules as written, at 2,000 points, you can take 6 cannons in special, even though the match play guide says you should be capped at 3, because the army roster limitations overwrite the ones in the match play guide, which does mean that you can take as many Doomseekers as you want. So you could just go like 15 Doomseekers and just go, good luck.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah, I think
maybe.
I think to sort of round this out, I think there are some people that will not care how bad the Dwarf Slayer army is, and they will buy it anyway. And I think this sort of comes back to where we were saying, like at the beginning with like Cathay, how the conversation, you know, if the Dwarf Slayer army had been released even as it was now at the beginning of Old World, you would have seen quite a few of them. But then we went into this weird like microcosm of everyone's like actually trying hard for like 6 months. And I think what's kind of happened is, like you said, collectively we've got to this point where like we can't do anything about Cathay. We've all sort of complained about it a bit, but we can't really do anything about it. And so it's kind of going to get to that point where you should just take what you want, because at the end of the day, it is what it is. And that's kind of where I've got to. And you know, one of the things that has done me a world of good, because I don't like being upset about Old World, because it's the game that I like to be positive about. People think I like being salty, but I don't. Old World was the place that I was going to get away from the sort of 40k in many ways. And what has done me a world of good is I just started playing Orcs and Goblins.
They're a pretty fun army.
I just not worrying about it. That was it. And I hope that we're starting to get back to that point. And I think we are. I think we are. I think everyone tried a little hard for 6 months, and then maybe we've gone like, well, it'll be all right.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in January, when I'm assuming we get an FAQ. Hopefully that will be,
and some reveals later today as well. You know, we'll see what happens.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, unfortunately, you have got to go, which is, you know, I'm sure we could sit here waxing lyrical for another few hours, but we have to try and at least be semi-professional. We'll circle back around to it and touch base later, Ed. There we go. But on a serious note, man, it is, me too. It's been a pleasure having you on again. We'll have to do this again sometime, not wait 6 months, you know, hopefully. Sure. And hopefully we'll see what January brings, what the reveals bring, and you can talk about all the interesting, like important, like nitty-gritty meta things, and I've just enjoyed actually talking to you, because it's actually been really just like insightful getting to talk to someone who knows what the fuck they're talking about. It's nice, man.
Love.
Thank you for coming on. Yeah,
thanks for having me.
Like I said, guys, don't forget, check Ed's channel out. Definitely worth your time. He's a good lad, and also he knows what the fuck he's talking about. Like, he knew the whip stats off the top of his head. That's his bona fides. He has proven his bona fides right there.
To chuck my plug in at the end, then, if you want to be coached by the only coach to have won an international title in Old World, because there's only been one, come on down to patreon.com/close order, where I do individual coaching. Nice. Excellent. And my people know that I don't have a big opinion of 40k coaching, but I was actually saying this to you off camera. I actually think Old World coaching is quite good. And that's not me just wanking Ed off on, you know, or fluffing him up or anything. It's a case of Old World 40k is too shallow to really need it. But, you know, you play half a dozen games of 40k, you've pretty much figured out everything you need to figure out. I've been playing Old World for 2 years. I'm still getting things wrong, and I'm still learning things. And so I actually think coaching is useful when it is. Coaching is good when it's actually useful. It's not just someone telling you to take metal guns on your guardsmen. So there you go. Like some of the combos like Ed was saying just then, I was like, like I hadn't even like thought about it. So yeah, definitely worth it. And check out his channel, check out his Patreon, all that good stuff. If you're, of course, don't forget, leave your comments down below. Let us know what you think about Cathay, Renegade Crowns. How's your conversation about Old World evolved over the last 2 years? And do you think Old World is starting to heal a little bit? But hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe. And of course, as always, we'll see you guys next time. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content
for your viewing pleasure, and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and Patreons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Redfield, 32, Jurgens, Miasma, Try Again, Bragg, RJ, Scorpion, Bonbon Vert, Lord Pryor, Nicholas Walsh, John Stubbs, Guardian, Varney, Sword, Fish Trombone, Picklock the Forged. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.